Okay, my friends, it is the Toad. I hope you can hear me okay. There is issues at the moment with sound on the videos that I'm doing. I do them on an iPad, and yeah, not everybody can actually hear what I'm saying. I'm not a loud person anyway, and at the moment I'm doing this in the back garden, so I can't talk too loudly. But hopefully this will suffice, and knows if you turn the volume up just a little bit, you will be able to hear what I'm saying. I have got a new microphone, but I tried it out and for some reason it's not working. I don't know what it is. I've obviously not, I've done something wrong. A bit too close to the camera there. You don't want to see that, do you? Right. So what I shall do is I shall talk about, well, say what I've got to say and then show you the particular thing I'm talking about. This is aimed at mainly UK people. Those of you in America, especially those in Texas, I believe, can pretty much carry what you want. There are areas of America, I understand, have got regulations, but what we're talking about is what's coming in is going to be coming in very, very soon in the UK. They're working through it at the moment. It's new amendments to the Offensive Weapons Act, and I just want to go through a few things with you of what's actually coming in and what is going to happen soon, the way it's been explained to me. And yeah, basically there's too much knife crime in this country. It's an issue. I mean, there was a young lad stabbed in the back, couple of streets away from me yesterday, stabbed 3 times. You know, you don't want that. I mean, he's not dead, but that's luck. And the point is, we don't need to be killing our kids or anybody else. These are tools. Some are weapons, designed as weapons, but generally these are bladed tools. Those of us in this community collect them, but I just want to point a few things out to you about where this is going and what is thought of as an offensive weapon in the way that you use it. Right, first things first, I'll give you an example. Oops. This is my walking stick, which I use every time I go out because I'm a little bit difficult to walk. That is, oops, can't really hear it. Let me just, that's 1 mil thick steel tubing, and obviously that's solid plastic. As you say, I have to bandage it up at the end because it comes with my hand. But the point is, if I go around whacking people with that, it becomes an offensive weapon. When I use it for what it's designed for, it's a perfectly good, strong walking stick. I'm not saying I specifically got this type so I can use it to defend myself. That would be a stupid thing to say, so therefore I'm not saying that. But the point is, it is, or could be thought of as an offensive weapon depending on how it's used. This is legal, no issues, and they're not going to be attacking things like this, by the way, yet. Machetes are being targeted. Now, this is a, it's a, I forgot what they called it now. It's from South America. Oh, I forgot what the name of it was. Anyway, I've got this giant pampas grass in my garden. It's in the front garden. It's 30 foot high. It's huge. It's a monster, and I've been trying to get rid of it for a while. I bought some machetes. This was one of them. I never got to use this one properly. The point is, as a machete, using the right way, fine. As you see, if that was used as a weapon, as you can imagine, it would be devastating, but it's not. But if I go walking down the street with this thing on my shoulders, swinging it about, I'm going to get in trouble. So therefore, I'm not going to do that. But I believe things like this are being used in gang fights, and that's what they are looking at, and they are going to be banning them because, for instance, this one has more than one hole in the handle, in the blade. Although they hold it on, that's not the point. What they actually was after, these ones have got their holes cut in the top, you know, like the flashy things. They're not proper weapons, machetes, they're just decorations. But the point is, this type of thing has been used. So to stop it from happening, they're going to be banning them, and they are going to be getting it done. There's been a few people contacting the government and saying, no, this is silly and you're doing this the wrong way, and what about people that do this for a living? it's fell on deaf ears. Point is, I would, even when I worked as a gardener back in the day, I didn't go wandering around with that in open. It just didn't happen. It was kept with the tools in the back of the van, used. We put signs out to keep the public away because it's dangerous. Fine, but they're being used in the wrong way. A perfect example of that, for instance, this little gardening tool. It's very good for weeding. It's my lovely ladies, forgot what they're called. And she uses this for getting weeds between the path and all this sort of stuff. Now, used in the correct manner, nothing wrong with that at all. But again, if you go wandering on the street or you go out and this is in your pocket, that's not what they're used for. And if you use it as a weapon during a fight, you're in deep shit. And it could be used that way, but that's not what it's designed for. So therefore, you shouldn't be banning it. You know, it's when people get run over on purpose and killed or maimed, they don't say let's ban all the cars, but in this case there's a knee-jerk, the government are hitting knives. And although it's large fixed blade knives and machetes with holes and handles and things like that, at the moment they are, I believe, heading for all knives. You can't carry a knife in public, period. For instance, this little case I just brought, perfectly safe, as you would all agree, and I will carry this with me every day in my pocket. It's legal, but there will be a time when I won't be able to. Even this little gem of a thing, now granted, if I, oops, what's wrong, that's not the blade, is it? It is the blade. If I open this up, these are little razor sharp blades, by the way, and went wandering around as little as, see, as little as it is, I could do damage with it and hurt somebody. All used in context, isn't it? I'd be stupid if that was going to be banned, but then again, I don't go wandering around with it out of my pocket, waving it about. This is really where we're talking. As I've already said, flippers are being mistaken for flick knives. Flippers, don't get it out in public over here. It's not a flick knife, but the wording is a bit ambiguous, and although it says on the law prohibiting flick knives, it talks about there being, you can't open it without having to use a button to open it. This is a lever which is part of the mechanism. That's where they're heading, saying this potentially can't be opened unless you do that. And in some flippers that is the case. This one you can, luckily, but that's not the point. It's got a lock on it, so I can't use it in public anyway. Enough of the knives. So this is where we're talking. This is where it's going. Another example, one of these cold steel machetes that I have. Brilliant machete for what I used it for, which was take a bush down. Wonderful, did the job, ideal for the job. It was very cheap, but I don't take this outside and I don't go wandering around with it in public. And there's laws against that sort of thing already, but not enough, and people are using them in fights, so they're going to be banning them. I don't know exactly where they're going for blade length, but I know there is an issue with it being a blade length again. Now, you can't carry fixed blade knives anyway in this country. You can have them, say, for fishing or something, as long as you're on private land, but you can't go walking down the street with a fixed blade on your waist anyway. So as far as I'm concerned, the laws are already there. This cookery. A lovely, lovely thing, made by Windlass. It's the only cookery I've got, but it's obviously it's not a fake, it's a genuine one. It's the one that's used for people when on parade, I think. I could do a lot of damage with that if I took it out in public. It's not legal to take out in public, and I'm not going to, but people are using them type of things. Because I've seen them in the Resident Evil films. The lead actress often has a couple of cookeries on her back, and she flips them out and chops zombies' heads off and all this sort of stuff. But there's a generation of people that don't seem to be getting the fact that they're movies and it's not real life, and they're having to target it, and the way they're targeting it is to ban. It's coming, my friends, believe me. I've mentioned this before and people have laughed at me, but no, it is coming, and there's not an awful lot we can do about it unless we, as a group, join together and like lobby parliaments and stuff and say, look, you need to be careful where you're going with this, because people that use bladed items for their job are going to be penalised as well. I don't intend to take these out of the house, the ones that are illegal. I don't plan to, but the way it's going is I've been led to believe if the police come around for whatever reason, they spot them, they'll take them off for you and prosecute you. You know, I mean, there was a time when I was not the most law-abiding person in the world, I agree, many years ago, and police would have had cause to question me. These days I'm not like that, but that don't mean to say I can just flaunt the law. So I'm very aware what I can and can't do. Example, for instance, this cold steel, I forgot what it's called now, absolutely brilliant blade, razor sharp, doesn't cost an awful lot, but I highly recommend it. I use this a lot for carving, and for that, the Finhawk, brilliant. In some countries you can carry these on your belt. If you're going to go camping, potentially you can take them. I don't go camping and I don't have a reason to carry one on my belt. And if I put this on my belt and went out in public, I'm in the shit, and rightly so. If I opened it up in public, I'm going to get in trouble. If I used it on anybody, I'm going to prison. I might even hurt somebody badly. Another example of that is this Rough Rider Skinner. Again, I'm a knife collector. That's why I have lots of these types of bladed items. I don't intend to use them, but it's just an example of that style that I wanted for my collection. I won't say how many knives of various sorts I've got, but I have a lot, believe me, an awful lot. Another example of that is this dagger. Lovely, I really like it. It was part of the collection, meant to be an example of that type of knife, again, for my personal collection. As was this right. It's an example of a sax. Again, I wanted that as an example of that type of thing. I've got a few of these for my knife collection, because I collect knives safely. Now, for instance, I've got this here movie replica sword, which I got from Ravenforge. In the middle of the night, once I entered one of those things where lucky dip, I don't even know why I did it, for the they were doing, it wasn't expensive, but this was normally about £200 to buy. I got it through the post. That's what I'd got. I would never normally bought it, and I actually don't know what to do with the bleeding thing, because I'm not even a Witcher fan. I've read the books, or read a book, and I've played the video game. I'm not a massive fan of the the TV series. First series was alright, but after that, the guy stars in it, great, wonderful. It's not that, it's the rest of it pisses me off. I just don't like it. It strays too far from the books for me. Anyway, the point is, I'm not a Witcher fan, so therefore I've got no reason to have a Witcher 3 replica knife, sword. But I've got one. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I'll pass it on to somebody if they ever want it. I don't know how we'd do it through the post though. But this is a wall hanger. Right, to quickly show you. Display sword. Oops, a bit of a length to it, as you can see. Two-handed. There you go. I should put it back in its sheath before I end up hurting myself with it, because it actually does have a bit of an edge on it. Now, it is made out of 420 steel. I don't know that much about it. Oops, come on, put it in there. But I've actually seen one of these disabled, taken to bits, as most of these ones are. And the thing is, what will happen is with these, because they're meant not to be used of any sort, just put on the wall and look at. The tang would go to about there, and then it stops. Then there's a bar, tack welded normally, very lightly tack welded onto it, runs all the way up here, which then has a screw nut at the end to hold the end up. Hold that part there on, because these are in two parts. That's how these are designed. You hit somebody with this or try to use the sword, it's going to break. It's going to break, it's going to bend. It's not what it's designed for. But you could still hurt somebody with it. Don't get me wrong, you could still run, it's pointy enough, you could still hurt somebody or intimidate them. It's not designed to be used, and it's not strong enough to be used, but however, it can be used threateningly. And people are scared of them. Those of us in the know this is useless. Hit me with it, okay, you might hurt me, but not that badly. But the fact is, they're not to be sniffed at. If somebody hits you with it without you looking, smacks you on the back of the head with it, or runs you through. It's sharp enough, it's 420, it's going to bend if you whack it around, but at that point you could stab somebody with it, there's no doubt. Another one, for instance, along the same lines, is another display one I've got. It's a Viking long broadsword. This is actually supposed to have a full tang on it. I'm not taking it apart, so I don't know, and I'm not planning on using it. So, Viking broadsword. Oops. There you go. It is pointy. I don't know what steel it is. It weighs a ton. And again, if you wrapped it around, no, in a proper sword fight or used as a weapon, as it would have originally been done, it would last probably 5 minutes if you can. But you go into a public where people aren't protected, this is dangerous. Again, they're going to be talking about these aren't okay. Now, when I was a kid, for instance, many people had these cookeries on the walls like this. They bought them, you know, it was fine. Nobody was using them as weapons. Right, on the other hand, I do have this one, which is a, oh, I've got to sold it for now. It's a sax, large sax. Again, done in the Viking design. I can't remember which one it's based on now. There's a Peterson one in the description of this. So this is, you see, steel. I believe it's carbon steel. It is full tang. Hold it on. It's kind of homemade. That would last a little bit longer, but still, it's not a sword, it's more of a machete, and yes, you could hurt somebody with that if you used it that way. Final thoughts, for instance, I have here a pickaxe handle. We all know what these are. I have this near my front door in case I need to attach it to a pickaxe while I'm gardening, as you can imagine, but it's there, perfectly serviceable. Now, if I go walking down the street with that, swing it around, it becomes an offensive weapon, and I'm going to get in trouble. However, they're not banning them. It's bladed objects that they're looking at. So, on a final note, sorry if this is not what people want to hear in my videos, but I think you need to be aware. The bills are being changed. As far as I know, they're going through at the moment. One has already been passed, and even with us contacting the MPs and so on, asking them to stop it, the answer I got was yes, but we need to do something because of the knife crime. And yeah, and the knee jerk is, rather than find out why these things are happening, ban the knives. Well, they'll just use something else. When I was a younger lad, I had a paper round. This is talking about the last end of the 70s, early 80s. I had a newspaper round, and back in them days, we still had packs of dogs wandering around our estates. You don't see that anymore. And we had we all had what were called the newspaper baton, the newspaper boy baton, which we'd use to fend ourselves off if a dog went to go and bite us, which they often did. And what it was a newspaper. I won't go into a great deal about it, but it was basically folded and so on, and soaked in water, folded, and then a bit of tape around it, and it ends up basically, I won't go into exactly how it was made, but basically it makes a very suitable, formidable club, and it works. Not enough to kill somebody, but if you've got a dog trying to maul you and you just swing it around, even if you did tap it with it, it ain't going to really seriously hurt it, but it will make it go away. Again, that these days now, because I'm turning a normal newspaper into basically a weapon. This is what you've got to think about. it's all in the context of how it's being used, and as collectors it's affecting us, and it will affect us, because at some point they're going to be going for the likes of large Bowie knives, that type of thing. And the way I was told is that they will eventually go into any knife carried in public, as it is in some countries, where regardless whether it's a pen knife under 3 inches or whatever it is, you cannot carry a bladed item anywhere in public, and some of them you're not allowed to own them at all. So that is where it's going, unless we pull a finger out and give some alternatives. I mean, I for one would happily go around schools and so on, talking to young fellas, discussing this type of thing. I mean, yeah, I've got a history, and I'd like to point it out, but the bottom line is the people that are doing this wouldn't listen, and they wouldn't be interested. People that stab other people in gang fights and things, a lot of times they do it because they're scared. Sometimes they do it because they're just complete knobheads. Now, to me, don't use knives, do what we did, learn to fight, learn to box, do some sort of martial art. You don't need a weapon that way. If you want to have a bust up with somebody, so be it, but you're not going to kill each other. You don't need to intimidate people with weapons. If you're a decent, strong, well-established person who knows what they're doing, that's enough to deter people. It's all stupid. What's going on? I don't know. Is it because they're seeing this on TV and in video games? I don't know the answer. But something's changed, and there's too many people stabbing people, and it's happening a lot. I mean, one of the things I saw recently, which baffled me, there was a film I watched where this young lad got stabbed in the street, or it was a play park, and he was only stabbed with a small knife. He died, and the reason being is that the kid that stabbed him specifically went for the neck, and stabbed him about 6 times in the neck, around the jugular area. Well, you're now showing people how to do it. Why did they put that scene in? They didn't need to. They could have just said he was stabbed. They didn't actually show it being done. So anybody watching that film will go, oh, so that's how you do it. Stupid. Why do that? Why? And you'd say, therefore, that was, I think the knife in that particular issue he was using was about 2 inches. You know, it's... Anyway, enough of this. I could go on all day talking about it, but I'm not going to. Right, hopefully you've just heard what I said. I'm going to put another video out of the usual sort tomorrow or the day after. In the meantime, thank you if you did listen to this, and please pay attention to what's happening out there. The laws are changing, and for our community, they won't be for the good. So, until next time, it's goodbye from the Toad. Oh, everything else got funny that did. Goodbye from the Toad. Look after yourselves, stay sharp, and I'll see you all out there. Bye bye.